Ah, yes. Shut up for the opening credits. What is this? All right, so we've recorded the video that's following after this, and the next morning on Tuesday, this happened. So this is my next door neighbor's tree. We'll just leave it at that. Folks that are friends with me know how I feel about this tree and the fact that it's in my driveway. Uh, at any rate, it's not quite as bad as it looks. It missed my wife's car, which is a dark blue one in the foreground. It did sort of kind of land on my daughter's car, but fortunately, all I did was put a dent about the size of a quarter in the trunk lid. I was not home because I was at work, so my vehicle is not in the picture at all. Um, the downside is that it ripped the electric line and the cable line off the side of my house when it fell down. It was just tall enough. And while the electric company was Johnny on the spot and came back out, put the thing back on the house, managed to not actually lose power. Didn't actually tear it. It tore it off the house, but it didn't actually separate it from the meter. Uh, they did come back out and put it back on the side of the house Wednesday morning. As of the recording of this little intro Thursday, I've paid a substantial amount of money to have that tree cleaned up, which I'll never recoup back. And my cable line is going to get attached at some point in the future. Anybody who's ever dealt with a cable company for any purposes, let alone their high-speed internet connection, knows that they are the scum of the earth, and no difference with our provider, who decided that the first appointment they could secure for me was the 6th of July, which is 3 weeks from now. But due to the emergency nature of the call, they would be out as soon as they could. And then they called me back later that day and told me they didn't know when that would be. So I'm pretty much assuming that unless I threaten, the Public Utilities Commission on them or something like that, more than likely I'm not actually going to see them before the 6th. So what that means to you and why we're having this little chat is that I have to record the videos on my laptop, edit them on my laptop, and then transfer them onto my phone to upload them through my phone. It's not like the worst thing in the world. It's what I actually used to do when I was driving over the road, record the videos in the truck on the laptop with the good camera, and then upload them, transfer them to my phone, and then upload them with my phone. It's just a pain in the butt. With having absolutely no internet access from my laptop whatsoever, the problem with the truck was you couldn't get a reliable connection to upload stuff with. With this, just having no internet access other than what comes with my cellular plan on my phone, it means that I have to download all the pictures, transfer them onto the computer, edit the video, and then it's a big pile. So I apologize for the fact that the videos, and probably until the middle of July, are going to continue to show up late. But in the meantime, just to say, we're not dead. I probably will not be doing a video for the other channel until sometime after this all gets fixed, which probably means we are not going to do the promised step-by-step build of the AMG that I was going to do. Not because I'm not working on it, I actually am, but because I just, without knowing when it'll ever come to fruition that I can edit it and put it together, I don't have the time to just hopefully put it together someday. So I got to have that thing done in the next 8 weeks in order to have it ready to go for the Nats in Vegas. So we're going to, at some point, revisit that concept, that idea, but we're going to skip that for now. I'll probably do a video on the other channel with my acquisitions. I have some Hobby Link Japan stuff that needs to be shipped over at the end of the month, and also cleaned out the stuff at Baiyi. EMS, the regular mail system, express mail from Japan is back in effect, and that means that the counters have restarted on things overseas in terms of your storage allotment of storage time. So things need to get moved out of places that they're being stored in. And then we'll do some sort of bench update showing you what I've been doing, what I've been working on, and things of that nature. But is what it is. But just want to again, sort of an explanation of why we're late, and nothing I really can do about it, short of, I don't know, dragging somebody out here by their hair, I guess. everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Stash Report from the Stash Project. Today is June 21st, 2021. We have a few kit announcements this week, as well as kit releases. Got a couple of domestic releases this week, as well as overseas releases, as we tend to always. So on the kit announcement side of things, Fujimi, didn't hear anything about those guys, and all of a sudden they're just all over the place. But Fujimi will be, in September, reissuing their NC, which would be third generation, Mazda, they just call it Mazda Roadster, the Mazda MX-5, and their Mazda Speed MX-5. So these two kits were done originally back in 2006, 2007 time frame. New tool at the time. The kit does have sort of an engine insert-ish type of thing, so it has an engine, not really, but kind of, sort of. And I think I have the Mazda Speed one behind the resin boxes here. But I didn't get the regular MX-5 because even way back when I bought that, which would have been sometime in the mid-20-teens, I realized that I was not going to build two third-gen MX-5s. So I didn't get the regular one and the Mazda Speed one. I just got the Mazda Speed one. But both of those will be making a comeback in September. We also got the August spot runs for Aoshima. So they will be, and again, these are just straight shelf restocks. The 2010 Toyota Hiace, the 1996 Mazda RX-7 FD3S, the 1968 Austin London Black Taxi, the old IMEI kit that's more 1/22 and a half. 1970 Japanese Automotive Federation Grand Prix Nissan Skyline GTR. That's the one that comes with decals to do about 4 different cars in the box. Reissue of the Rocket Bunny Toyota 86 Enki Racing. Reissue of the Rocket Bunny Toyota 86 Volk Racing. Red box art, black box art. Reissue of the 1991 Nissan Sylvia S13 Rasty. Reissue of the 1999 Mazda RX-7 Vertex FD3S. Reissue of the Liberty Walk, Liberty Works Ken and Mary 4-door Skyline, and then a plethora of wheels again for the month of August. So in 19-inch wheels, reissue of the Advan Racing RSDF RG3s GTs, the Enki GT CO1 RRs, the Super Advan Racing version 2s, Volk Racing GTC, and Wed Sport SA70s. In the VIP 19-inch wheels, you have the Amistad Rotino, the Kranze Borfus, and the Kranze LX2. And then in 14-inch wheels, the Mark III, the Advan A3A, the Equip, and the Star Shark, and all what are known as the short rim versions, which are the regular dish, if you will, as far as the depth of the wheel face from the wheel lip, as opposed to some of the other 14-inch wheels, which are, of course, very deep dish Chicago-style pizza in terms of the depth of the wheels compared to the wheel lips. So all of those, just again, straight reissues for the month of August. So some things to look forward to in mid to late summer, I guess. It's not really late summer, because late summer will be September in astrological terms, but hey, who's arguing, right? So let's go to the kit releases this week. Again, a few things here domestically. So first up, from Atlantis, the next one of their old Revell kits that are getting a run. You got this 1/16th scale, big scale Chevy Vega funny car. Many scale, much scale, large scale. Jim and Betty Green's the Green Elephant, the 1973 champion. I assume this is a funny car, yes. But back in the day, this is before, of course, 4 years before I was born. This might be a division or something that technically does not qualify as a funny car. But at any rate, this has been reissued. Atlantis has provided some new wheels for this, or new tires, I should say. And there's a debate as to whether or not they're as good as the original Aurora tooling was, or better than the Revell ones. And I'm not going to get into that because I've never seen in person any of the other two sets of wheels, let alone this set of wheels. For folks that are fans of big scale funny cars, or big scale kits in general, this obviously is an option for you. The whole bottom of this thing, unlike a round 2 kit, which is a parts tree, this whole bottom of this thing are pictures of the car in various drag racing photos from the 1973 season, so you get to see it run in a number of different racetracks. And it's an interesting conversation piece, I guess. I mean, it is what it is in the sense of being, two other companies that goes tooling. I don't believe, from what I understand, that this particular livery has been done before in either Aurora or Revell, so it's something a little new there. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, you're getting what you're getting here in terms of it being a vintage item. This would have been right around the time where Aurora was going to be sold to Monogram and the amazing train derailment occurred. So obviously this piece of tooling survived that train derailment. But otherwise, sort of is what it is. If I'm going to sit here and be honest about vintage kits that I'm excited to see, I'm going to go with this next one, right? And it is the completely new 2021 tooling of the International TranStar 4070A cabover. So we discussed this a bunch of different times now over the last 6 months, with this being patterned, 3D patterned from an original 4070A kit, and then they ran the tooling and put it together and found out that kits from the 1970s didn't really go together that well. And they tweaked a whole bunch of things with it, including where the battery box is and where the stairs are and the width of the front axle and various things like that to make an actual buildable model kit out of this that doesn't require you to bash your face off a wall like most of the old AMT truck kits would. Technically speaking, this is an old Ertl truck kit, right? But Ertl's name and likeness is still attached to Tomy, which uses it to sell die-cast farm implementary. Big brouhaha for 5 seconds online about the fact that this is a Ertl box with the AMT logos and it says many unique AMT features, where the original one said many unique Ertl features, and how dare they, and blah, blah, blah. Guys, understand that Ertl is a name owned by another company. It did not come with the AMT, did not come with the MPC, or the Lindbergh, or the Hawk, or any of those things that Round 2 has purchased over the years. It still belongs to Tomy, and they still actively use the Ertl name to sell, again, die-cast farm toys. AMT, Round 2, would have had to pay Tomy to license the name to do this model kit, which probably means this model kit doesn't exist, or it costs $10 more than it does right now. So pick the battles that you want to fight with things like that. I am super stoked to see this come out. Original ones of these kits were going for somewhere in the neighborhood of $300 to $400 a piece. Yes, it does have the sort of second-gen suspension. It doesn't have the original 4070A suspension that came in the first version of the kit. It has the ones that has come since then in the 4070A second release, the 4070B, and then the TranStar 4300. But it's also probably the more accurate suspension used in on-road trucks. The other one was more of an off-road suspension. Completely new tool. 250 plus pieces of brand new tooled in 2021 goodness here. So you get all of the benefits of a cool old truck without all of the problems of building a old truck model kit, or at least one would hope. Early builds of this have been getting some really good reviews. You take that for what it's worth, because of course the people who get early versions of these are getting them for free, and they want to keep their connections to their sources. Kit reviews from various things are not necessarily always the most accurate things. I always look for kit reviews for people who bought their own kits and are, and then again, building their own kits, because an out-of-the-box review, it looks like a nice box of plastic. How's it actually built? So, something I'm very, very interested in, very much looking forward to. My local hobby shop has these in for $57.50, which is a little bit below the MSRP on them. The MSRP on these have gone up a little bit with the cost of plastic and shipping and everything else that has gone into making things more expensive in the world right now. So under $60 is what you're looking for if you're going to buy one of these. Shipping is going to be a little more than a regular model kit because of the size and scope of a truck kit compared to a regular car kit. But it is something that's super cool. Very much interested to see what else is in this. You didn't just tool it for this. Hopefully you didn't just tool it to offer it with Coke decals or something like that. Maybe there's a 4070B in here somewhere. But it is out now, and the wait is over, and it is super cool to have it back. And yeah, again, $57.50 is substantially less than $400 for anybody who can't math on their own. Overseas, number of things here. We've got some Aoshima, got some Hasegawa. And then the first thing we're going to start with is Ibram. This does not have box art, apparently. I don't know what to tell you guys. I've looked all over the place for a box of these things. I believe the box is going to be basically the top half of this picture that I'm showing you. And this is a reissue of the Asuka Bantam Jeep. In this case, it's the British Reconnaissance 40 British Troop Jeep. I believe, as far as I can tell, because there's no literature for this whatsoever in English. I can't find any literature for it at all in anything. This is one of the biggest secrets in the world, I guess. But what has been done with Ebro in the past with things like this is they are taking an existing model kit, adding some new decals into it or things of that nature, and then reissuing it. I believe that this is the Asuka Bantam Jeep with nothing added to it except this British camo pattern and livery scheme. There are some decals in here. I don't believe that the whole camo pattern is necessarily in their decals, but like the Rhino silhouette and some of the different colored camo, probably the X for the hood, things like that are included as decals. The windshield does fold down on the Asuka version, so I don't believe there's anything new there. I believe this is legitimately just a reissue of that kit with a little bit of new decals added to it, a little bit new purpose added to it, and because the Bantams never built the Jeeps. Those Jeeps were then contracted out to Ford and to Willys, and Bantam built the trailers, the quarter-ton trailers that they pulled, but Bantam, which was a company here in Pennsylvania, didn't have the capabilities to build these Jeeps in the quantities that they were needed once they passed testing, and they ended up going to larger, more capable manufacturers in terms of production scope and size. So I believe that's what this is. Maybe at some point somebody will actually show what the real box of this looks like, or some real box contents of it look like, but as far as my understanding of it, that's what this is. So that is out there. Over at Hasegawa, we got a couple of releases this week. First up, you have the latest version of the Mitsubishi Colt Galant, and this is the GTO M2 from 1970. The M2 is sort of the secondary trim level to this. There's Mitsubishi Colt Galant, the Mitsubishi Colt Galant GTO M2, and then the Mitsubishi Colt Galant GTO GSR, which of course we've seen already. This is a sort of a recombination of the parts that came with these several kits that have come out now. I mean, we're to the point where this is at a resin chin spoiler and whatnot. The new thing to this are the decals, which go into badging it for the mid-level trim, and otherwise everything else is in here. Technically, in real life, the engine is a different displacement than the GSR is, but being a curbside, we don't have to worry about that. And it's all about painting and decaling and what pieces and parts that you use from the various parts runners. So that's out there for fans of the Mitsubishis. And then you have this, which is the Honda N360 Race Configuration Part 2. So again, another kit that has actual no new parts to it and just a bunch of decals. There are several striping packages. There are several roundels. Some of them are squares, so technically that wouldn't be a roundel, but several sort of backgrounds for numbers, roundels, squares. There are a few little sponsorships you see on the box art, STP and NKG Spark Plugs, a couple other little other small sponsorships, and a whole plethora of numbers, both group numbers as well as a bunch of just freeform numbers where there's a whole, I think there's 4 each of 1 through 9s plus the zeros, and then there are like 4 sets of already grouped numbers, 33, 17, things like that. And all of the parts are from the Race Configuration Part 1. This is literally just new decals and new words and new fonts. So if you have one, you technically, I guess, don't need this. If you haven't gotten one, it's a neat little kit. The M360s were pretty cool, teeny cars. These were some of Honda's first production cars. And these things got a few new parts added to them with the roll caging, the wheels, and the sort of de-bumpered front fascia, rear fascia, and things like that. The tie downs for the hoods and the hatchback and things like that. But there was never a race series for these cars. They were privateer, sort of SCCA autocross type of thing, not an actual race series for them. But so it's a neat little conversation piece of historic Japanese homegrown racing, but not an actual like race car in the traditional sense of something like this, the Axia Object T Skyline for the 1991 JTCC season. So this is basically the exact same kit as the Tamiya one as far as the year and the livery. 1992 they ran a completely different livery. 1990 they also ran a completely different livery. So this 1991 looks like an explosion of VH1 all over a race car in terms of the graphics department. it is, yeah, it is very period. This kit has some new pieces added to it for the front intake up where the radiator grill is. There's a slightly different shape to the front bumper on this than there was on the previous version of the Group A Skyline. So that's replicated. It also has the new wheel sets in here for the flush face mesh BBS racing rims. Otherwise, the kit is a straight reissue of the previous Group A race car. No new parts besides the wheels and the intake area. And then, of course, it has the very famous Axia livery in it. Looks pretty cool. Looks like it's fairly complete in terms of the actual livery. They're not making you paint it like 15 different colors, including like 2 decals. It's a pretty robust decal sheet. Looks pretty much just like the Tamiya one does, except that the Tamiya one, of course, is at this point, what, 20 years old, right? 30 years old? 30 years old. And this one, of course, is 30 days old, if that. So, by the time you get it and ship it to yourself and all that sort of thing. So, yeah, this is very cool to have back. It's certainly one of the most colorful Skylines that was run. It was not not the most successful one. A couple of podiums. Object T had a better season in 1992 with their GTR, but again, it's not this livery scheme. So, very cool nonetheless. Probably one of the most desired Tamiya GTRs just for the livery because they've not reissued that kit since it originally came out in the 1990s. So there is that. And that'll take us over to Aoshima to close out this video. They got, let's see here. I'm trying to look at what we're doing here and do this in the most concise way I can think of, but it's going to be a mess regardless. So first up on the supercar line, added to it is the Pagani Pichetto Tempesta version. So it's the gusty winds or whatever it is. Obviously, it's not that exactly, but the Pagani Warriors. I think the Pichetto Tempesta has been reissued once before, in addition to its actual kit release. So this is just reboxing it once again into the new, if we're going to use it at that point, because I think we're 2 or 3 years into this marketing scheme at this point with the reboxing, renumberings. But yeah, this is back out there and available for you folks. So nothing new to write home about there. And then on the model car side of things, a couple of kits that are actually added to the model car line. These are ones that are reissues of kits, but they have not been in the model car line. You may have noticed the model car line came out, a bunch of kits came out, and then they're reboxed again. We've talked about it in other videos where they have a very minor revision to the box art, and then they were reissued a second time 2 years later with a just barely tweaked box art. And there are some like this that have never been in the model car line as of yet. So this is a 1991 Toyota Soarer in the JZ30 or UZ31 version. Difference there is the 2.5 liter versus the 4.0 liter twin turbo. Curbside kit, so all that is done with decals and painting as far as how you paint the car and how you paint the interior. There are a few different pieces. There's a slightly different exterior pieces depending on if you build the twin turbo car or not. There is a bunch of extra parts added into this, ground effects and things like that have always come with some of these 1990s kits. Unfortunately, you cannot build this as a Lexus. It is only a right-hand JDM car. Aoshima did do this. Well, actually, no, I think it was Fujimi that did this. This is a Lexus, yes, Fujimi, but it is the same sort of thing as the Lexus, but it is a Toyota only, so know that going in. And then the other one that's, again, just added to the model car line is this, the 1999 Toyota Hiace, was known as the H100 Super Touring G. Also, you can build the Ultra Limited version of it. In that are a couple of different sets of wheels, a couple of different graphics packages. Again, a lot of it is how you paint the car. Decals do a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of the 2 trim levels. It's a kind of an interesting car. It's a great big bubble on wheels. Sort of looks like what would happen if you took a Toyota Cressida and you slammed it into one of those metal box crushers and it came out looking like a toaster. So there's that. These are pretty cool kits in the sense of them being in the 1990s. Aoshima curbsides were pretty decent kits in the sense of, you're not going to necessarily walk away with major awards at model competitions for your full detail kits or anything else like that, but they go together pretty well. They're pretty well engineered for what they are, and at the end of the day, that's sort of the point, right, is being able to build something and display it on your shelf. So those are out there. Over on the 25th anniversary of Initial D side of the lineup, you have the couple of reissues. First up, you have the AE 8611. This is not the humiliation car from the series because, of course, it is the right engine displacement, but this is, if I can find the proper page for my notes here, this would be Wataru Akiyami's car. So it's kind of basically the same sort of kit that you would get from the Truno, although the 11 is the composite headlight. This is actually a great example of if you're still confused as to what the hell 11 and what the hell a Truno is as far as 86 Corollas go. This is exactly what the difference is. The front ends. The Truno is that car in the background with the flip-up headlights, and the 11 is the one in the foreground that you're buying that has the composite regular headlights. Otherwise, the cars are pretty much identical to one another. So that is, again, just a reissue of an existing kit with the new 25th anniversary box art. And this is the same sort of idea where it is the kit reissued with the 25th anniversary box art. And this would be Ekatami Kushino's S13 Sylvia. So, again, it is a just the regular sort of off-the-shelf Nissan S13 Sylvia that Aoshima did as a as a catalog specification kit, just a factory stock kit. This has a slightly different front bumper, different wheels, and a different rear spoiler than the just base kit, and a couple of little tweaks here and there, much like all the S13s. Actually, I think this is I'd have to go check. It's probably too late by the time this video will go up, but this may have an engine insert. It probably doesn't, though. But at any rate, if it does, it'll be the same S13 engine insert that some of the other S13s have had. But be that as it may, just a straight reissue. However this came out last is how it's coming out again this time, just with a slightly different tweaked box art. And then the last three kits from Aoshima are going to be the first of the new police car line of kits, because, of course, Hasegawa did too to a certain extent, but Aoshima, of course, has police card all the things in the past. So first up, you have the 1999 Nissan R34 GTR patrol car. So this has, I believe, two different liveries in it, because you can build this car as a V-Spec 1 or a V-Spec 2. And depending on which one you build is which town or prefecture the police car belongs to. Now, I know that it has Satayama Prefecture in it, because that is what is on the box art, and that my phone was able to translate. There is a second set of decals in here for the V-Spec 1 that I cannot quite get an actual translation out of. So your mileage may vary there, but if you're buying this for a police car, you may not care. And if you really, really, really do care about prefectures, Aoshima made two sets of decal sheets about, I want to say 3 or 4 years ago, but they're still in print and actively available, that include the wording to make any Japanese prefecture that you can think of, and several of the major cities as well. So you can make these into pretty much anything you want to, although historically speaking, there are only going to be a few of them, as highway patrol cars in the country, but it sort of is what it is there. Nothing new has been added to this kit. I believe this R34 has been offered as a police car pretty much just like this in the past, and the police car parts are from the 1990s for it. And then you go to the 2007 Nismo Fairlady Z. This is going to be the Toshigi Prefecture Police. And the only sort of downside I've seen to this kit are those little LED lights on the sides of the bumper surround are decals. They did not actually include any little LED lights to make the car look accurate to the real one, the one car, which is the whole point of putting those on there in the first place. So the decals, yeah, they look like decals. They're not three-dimensional, and you're basically just sticking 3 bubbles printed on a gray background on the black bumper of a black background of a hood, or a black background of the bumper. I want to say hood because they do include the masks in these kits to paint the widow's peaks and the two-tones, but again, police car parts wise, it's all 1990s, early 2000s stuff, so the parts all exist. We're just sort of repackaging it into something new. And then last but not least, and something that was just sort of a throwaway when I originally saw it, but actually ends up being a little more interesting now that we see the actual fruition of it, is this 2007 Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 10 as a Taipei, Taiwan police car. Okay, so a Taipei, Taiwan police car may or may not be anything that interests you whatsoever. The cars do look just like this. They're black and white. The rendition of the light bar included in the kit does not really match the real-life cars as much as you'd like it to, but this is because Taipei is an export and China, or at least that part of China, although we get into an argument about whether Taiwan belongs to China, but we're not going to do that right now, is a left-hand drive country the way we are in terms of what side of the car their steering wheels are on. So this represents the only 2007 Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 10 with a left-hand drive dashboard in it. You may recall, we have to go buy the Rally Art kits to get a left-hand drive dashboard and left-hand drive wipers for an Evo 10, but that's not really a factory stock car, and that means you have to sort of rip the interior parts out of a tuner car and add them to a regular car. I say nay, no longer. If you buy one of these, you get the, now it is a 2007, so it's not technically the final edition 2014 cars, or the 2009 update cars, because they did some of those as well when this car was being run originally back in those years. But all that being said, this has the left-hand drive dashboards in a factory stock Evo 10, which is a pretty cool thing to have if you wanted to build a US spec, effectively, Evo 10 without cannibalizing a Rally Art kit to do it. So I think that's pretty great. It's something I would not have bought otherwise. I still haven't bought one anyway, but it's not something I would have bought otherwise because I'm not that interested in the subject matter, which if you knew me on a personal level, you'd be like aghast at, because how could the guy that runs a police car website not be into police cars? But I'm certainly a great deal more interested in it if I could catch it on sale or something like that, to grab one to do a left-hand drive regular Evo 10 than having to, again, buy and gut out a Rally Art kit that I would otherwise probably not actually, do. I have a Rally Art kit. I like to build it as the Rally Art car. I like the Rally Art wheels and the Rally Art body kit, but I don't want to keep buying them just to take 5 pieces, because that's what it is, literally 5 pieces out of the kit just to put it into something else. That, I don't have to put the police car decals on, and I just have a regular 2007 Evo 10 straight out of the box. So that is certainly an option for folks that are interested in doing something like that. That, guys, wraps up this week. As of the making of this video, we have 8 weeks until the IPMS Nationals in Las Vegas. Time to start panicking if you're not actively working on your projects. And we'll see you guys on the other side.